1942 justice rather than vengeance. November 9, 1943. My German friends, you have heard much in the last weeks of the Moscow resolutions. They mean that there will be no separate peace and that war will be carried out until the total defeat of the Germans. From now on, only meaningless sacrifices are being offered, and the guilt of those who are prolonging these sacrifices is growing beyond measure. But there is still something else in the Moscow declarations, something that was never read in the bloody documents of war history. It is the declaration of the three world powers about the atrocities of the Nazis. Their words sound like prophetic speech, like words in which the conscience of the world is speaking. In the declaration, the following is said: at the time when an armistice is concluded, all German officers and soldiers and Nazis who were responsible for these horrors shall be brought into the countries in which their abominable acts have occurred, and there they shall be tried and punished according to the laws of these lands. That is not simply a wish, that is a solemn declaration of intent. Even if the governments did not want to carry it out, the tormented nations would force it to occur. Do you doubt that it is so, my German friends? Perhaps you do not believe that the horrors have actually occurred. But indeed, you have heard and seen, you know what is still taking place in the concentration camps. You know of the shipments of Jews to Poland, of the shooting of hostages. That is not enemy propaganda. That is truth. And then follows a section that reads like this: those who, up to now, have not stained their hands with innocent blood ought to be on their guard, that they do not enter into the ranks of the guilty, because the three Allied powers will pursue them with irreversible certainty into the furthest ends of the world, so that justice is done. There are two serious warnings here. The one is to all neutral countries. There will be no places of refuge for Nazi criminals against the breach of justice. A sword of justice is rising up that reaches to the ends of the earth. Yet another warning lies here, a warning to the Germans who have remained innocent. It means that justice and not revenge shall be exercised. And that, my German friends, means the protection of the innocent in Germany. A boundless hatred is built up against everything that is called German. The German soldiers sense this hatred to the point of insanity. The German nation senses this hatred through the walls of its isolation. They all know that when revenge operates freely, there is no distinction between the guilty and the innocent. And now think about the declaration of the world powers in the face of this ocean of hatred. It differentiates. It doesn't want revenge. It wants justice to occur. It wants to protect all Germans who were not accessories in the crimes of the Nazis. It wants to give this hatred the target that belongs to it: the criminals, and not the innocent. And now permit me to ask you, does your conscience not agree with that? Imagine if the criminals who maltreated first you and then Europe should go on living unpunished, their hands stained with the blood of the innocent. Imagine if they would live among you and brag about those things. When you imagine that, does it not give you some sense of liberation to think that this collection of all that is bad shall be eradicated from Germany? No false national feeling should bring you to join forces with criminals who are the ones committing crimes against you. To start with, to the contrary, you will become their first judges. To the extent to which you yourself use the sword of justice against those committing crimes against humanity, you prove before all the world that your hands are spotless.